Let's get a move on then and focus in on the CAPEX theme. Manish Bhatnagar, Managing Director, SKF India, joins in to chat about that, as well as localization, CAPEX plans, and lots more. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining us. Mr. Bhatnagar, to begin with, we did see the pandemic lead to a lot of suppressed industrial activity. There was low utilization and low infrastructure spends. Now we're sensing that CAPEX cycle recovery, a healthy uptake, a visibility of sustenance and growth ahead. Is that what you're seeing for the sector as well when it comes to industrials and a sense of capturing that uptick in the OE cycle?
I think that's true. Absolutely. The last 3 or 4 months, we've seen a gradual unlocking, if you will, of demand. And some of it was pent-up demand, of course, but we see that unlocking of demand and we're seeing CAPEX cycles starting to pick up. Our business is about half industrial, half automotive, and we are seeing demand pick up in both those segments.
So that's sounding very encouraging. At what levels now are your factories operating at? And, are you seeing, this kind of a growth and demand pick up even further?
We have a large manufacturing footprint in the country. We have, as you know, we have 6 factories in India. And today we are operating at full capacity. Our factories are running 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. And we actually have to be a little selective nowadays, also in figuring out, unfortunately, what orders to turn down. So it's a good problem to have, and therefore we are looking at also investments to mitigate this supply risk. And to your second part of the question, yes, absolutely. We do expect automotive to slow down a little bit come in the next 3 or 4 months as that pent-up demand starts to ease off. But on the other hand, industrials will start picking up because they've been a little slow in this revival as compared to automotive.
All right, fair enough. Now, I just want to talk about this overall localization theme as well, given that 35% of the industrials are being sourced locally, of which about 90% is from SKF Technologies. What are the plans to increase your localization levels in industrials in the long run?
You're right. About 35% is what we make locally. The rest we import. And there is significant need, if you will, to also localize that for various reasons, not the least being supply, freight, etc. The problem with industrials is that it has a long tail of small volume orders. Unlike automotive, where the series supplies means we can turn out 10 million bearings a year without a problem. Industrial, sometimes the demand is 1,000 bearings, sometimes 10,000 bearings. Therefore, it's a little difficult to plan for that. And it's also very project-based. So what we hope to do in industrials is that consolidate demand in the Indian factories for markets beyond just India, certainly in Asia and nearby countries. When we consolidate that demand, it becomes much more viable to set up localized industrial manufacturing. So over the next 3 or 4 years, we do expect industrial localization to expand from the number you said, 35%, to close to 65, 70%.
Sure. Manish, if you could tell us about, the rotating equipment performance as well, where the company is engaging, as we understand, in long-term contracts with industrial customers too. What is the current share of this business and how much do you plan to increase it to?
So if I can take a few seconds just to explain that concept. And it's a very simple concept. Every morning we wake up at SKF thinking how many more bearings can we sell to customers. Every morning the customer wakes up thinking how few bearings does he need to buy because that's an expense from him. His interest is in running the factories well. The REP, or rotating equipment performance, intends to align those two interests together, which means if we can align our interest with the customer's interest, how can we make sure the customer's factories run efficiently? could be uptime, efficiency, etc., without getting fixated on how many bearings we sell. And therefore, it's called rotating equipment performance and not sale of bearings. So these are long-term contracts based on performance guarantees. Typically, these are, let's say a steel mill, for example. These would be pay per ton contracts. The more you produce, the more efficiently you produce, we share in your profits. This could be uptime, this could be loss of downtime, could be MTBF, etc., etc. Today, it's about 8% of our business ballpark, but we expect it to get to about 20% of our business in the next 3 or 4 years.
Okay. Post taking a plunge in the pandemic, has the market then rebound, given that one has seen car sales jump across the board with CVs, tractor, two-wheelers as well? And how does this business to OEMs contribute to your overall sales?
Well, automotive is a little bit more complex than just one sector. As you know, there are multiple sub-segments in automotive, and not all have rebounded, just to be clear. So we're seeing a rebound in two-wheelers for sure, and again, then the lower CC two-wheelers. We are seeing some uptick now in passenger vehicles. We are seeing a very strong rebound in tractors and agricultural sales. We are seeing absolutely no rebound as yet in commercial vehicles. And those problems in CVs predate this corona crisis because of a number of reasons, axle load norms, etc., etc. So not everything has rebounded back, but we expect this to continue for some time. We are still seeing some pent-up demand being serviced. I don't expect CVs to rebound at all for the next 18, 24 months. And PVs should start rebounding back in calendar 21, which is mainly linked to the launch of new models. We also see probably some new demand coming in from electrification, especially around two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and a little bit around public transportation.
Expectations from the budget this time around, given that the government has put an increased thrust on railways, to increase its share when it comes to logistics, taken steps like commissioning the DFC corridor, anything that you're anticipating for the sector this time?
I think one of the biggest challenges we have in India is the amount we spend on logistics. 14% of our GDP as a country is spent on logistics, which I think is insane. Other countries are about 7 to 8%. So my expectation, frankly, is linked to infrastructure. The government has put out a few policies in the last 3 or 4 months, and I do expect some announcements in the budget around infrastructure on two fronts, if you will. On the demand side, certainly we hope to see more investments, more thrust on ports, railways you mentioned, the DFC is one aspect of it, roads, airports, etc. On the supply side, the government will need to step in very, very quickly on what we are seeing on prices of cement and steel. Cement and steel prices have gone up 20%, 30% in the last 3 or 4 months. And to me, where I sit, there is absolutely no rational reason for those increase in prices. There is no significant increase in input costs. It's an opportunistic play by the steel mills and cement players, and I hope the government takes a look at that, because cement and steel could derail infrastructure spending very, very quickly. And we do need infra spending. We do need infra investment to generate jobs, to create demand, etc. So to me, that's the number one expectation I'll be looking forward to when the budget gets announced.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today, Mr. Bhatnagar. Great speaking with you, and hope to see a lot more of you in Eating Out.
Thank you.